human rights activist Mary de Haas wants Parliament to pay attention to the appointment of officials in the South African Police Service. In a letter to the National Assembly Speaker and various oversight committees, de Haas alleges senior South African Police Service officers are hired without security clearance. Mary de Haas joins us now to unpack all of this. Mary, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining us this evening. You're essentially saying that the broken state of policing in South Africa is essentially the biggest threat. Perhaps talk to us about the concerns that led you to writing this open letter to Parliament.
Look, it's the latest one, or maybe not quite the latest one, to try and get Parliament to exercise better oversight of the police. If you read the Zondo Commission reports, he is adamant that state capture, well, he makes it very clear state capture happened because of a lack of parliamentary oversight. And one of his findings is against crime intelligence in the police, and he supports a report a panel of experts chaired by Professor Muhammadi 4 years ago now, to say do something urgently about state security. Okay. So, but I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that July 2021 happened because of the state of policing. There was no crime intelligence. That's the key thing. This is why we have this crime wave in South Africa. Crime intelligence should be able to pick up who the criminals are in communities. They're not doing it. You know, Mrs. X or Mr. Y can go and get a hitman with a gun. They know how to find them, but the police don't. So crime intelligence is a problem. And now this latest appointment, crime intelligence, is of a man who's never ever been in intelligence in his life, who was as a disaster in the ministerial team on political killings, because he's never been a detective either. He was a KwaZulu policeman in the Bantustan days guarding the Zulu King. That doesn't equip you to run crime intelligence. And of course, because I work in communities and ask for patrols and follow up cases, I get to know that detective services are not properly functioning. A lot of stations don't function well. I mean, it all goes back to bad management. And of course, I'm working with Patricia Mashale on all this corruption in the police, which is leading to corrupt appointments, corrupt promotions, and getting rid of competent members on a pretext because they want to put their friends and relatives in. Now, I mean, this is why we have a state of crime that we have in South Africa, including at Eskom. Because do remember that part of Eskom's problem is the operation of criminal syndicates that are stealing good coal, that are generally sabotage. So wherever you look in South Africa with crime problems, you realize that it defaults back to the police, the things that have been happening in the police for the last 15 years.
You make mention of Patricia Mashale, who's a whistleblower and a rights defender, and you speak about the work that she does, which has been appreciated, but her life is in danger because you also make mention of those who aren't impressed with the whistleblowing that she's doing and the exposure that she's really getting out. Talk to us about the concerns around Patricia Mashale, as well as how that directly impacts or perhaps bears significance with the leadership within the South African Police Service.
Oh, indeed. I mean, look, this started because she did what she's required to do. Remember, we have anti-corruption legislation. She took an oath of office to report corruption when she joined the police years ago in the administrative section. And there's an anti-corruption act, which if you don't report corruption, you are guilty of it yourself. So she reports corrupt goings on with disciplinary cases which are irregular promotions. She reports it to the then National Commission of Sithole. It gets back. this is in the Free State. It gets back to Free State management, and they then start persecuting her, right, which led to her, they seized her phone illegally. They follow the car with her children in it at the end of 2021, thinking she's in it, but she's not. They then illegally dismiss her at the beginning of 2022. They know she has a lot of information because she had also reported firearms irregularities within the piece to the Hawks. She's done a lot of this. She knows a lot about what happened. She's since discovered that tax deductions are made for SARS without salaries being paid, so where the salary's going. She's also uncovered a huge pension fraud. The end result is she's been in hiding now for the past year, and there's a sustained effort. There was an article in the City Press on last Sunday. It's based on a very comprehensive affidavit submitted to the Zondo Commission by a brigadier in crime intelligence about corruption in crime intelligence. Now, a lot of people have that. It was on record with the Zondo Commission. So the latest is they've sent 2 people from Gauteng, because it seems that they don't trust their own Free State crime intelligence enough, because a number of them are sympathetic to Mashale, and they kind of keep an eye on what's going on. These 2 people were named in this brigadier's affidavit as implicated in corruption. The information is they've been sent to arrest her on a charge of providing information to the Goldstone Commission, which is crazy. Anybody could have leaked that affidavit to the police. A lot of people, to the City Press, a lot of people have it. So she's scared, because the point is, if they arrest her, they will probably take her somewhere and kill her, because over 200 people die in police custody every year. I mean, another thing is, I'm dealing with a case in which the tactical response team, which was set up by the minister, they are known for brutality. Ever since they were set up, they have been abusing and killing people. They have been into a house again. I had a sense of deja vu as I wrote to Alfred about this. A rural homestead. They go in, they kick a few doors down, they then torture the father of the house and say, you've got done. I say torture because they use tubes, and that causes a sense of being suffocated, and it sometimes ends up with death. Now, I've been reporting cases like this for the last, I don't know how many years. It's just happening. The police are breaking the law with impunity. They're a threat to the security of South Africa.
You've said that the rot starts at the ministerial top level, and if anything befalls on this family, that the person that would be to blame is the National Commissioner of Police, Fani Masemola. Talk to us about that.
Well, of course it is. He is the head of the policing. Now, I want you to look at the Constitution. The police are mandated to prevent crime as well as deal with it in terms of arrest, or, making sure they have evidence, but they have to prevent crime as well. Now, so Masemola is in charge of the police. Now, if you are the manager of something, you have responsibility. The problem is, though, that the person who runs the police is the minister. He does it completely irregularly. It's not the job of a minister, but this does happen in quite a few government departments. It started basically with the Zuma years, when ministers started doing the jobs they're not supposed to, interfering in operational matters. It is clearly who runs the, and he runs it through Masemola, that he's worked with since around 2005 in KZN. Masemola is just the front man, but we know that it is clearly who pulls the strings and takes the decisions. That's why Sithole had to go. Okay, there was a pretext of Sithole going, but clearly made it absolutely clear from the very start that he wanted to get rid of Sithole, because Sithole was actually firing some of the people that clearly had fast-tracked when he was National Commissioner. Now, just remember that Fairley was dismissed after 2 damning public protector reports and a report by the body that was set up, the constitutional body, to investigate gross corruption, which found that he lied. In fact, he contradicted himself under oath, and that he was not fit to head the police. Now, he's come back as minister, and he loves being a policeman. You've only got to look at what he runs up in the way of bills, running around to crime scenes. It's not his job. In the meantime, legislation is neglected, policy is neglected. Those are the things ministers should do. So it starts with Fairley, but structurally, in terms of the management of the police, it is Masemola. And he's already perjured himself to Parliament, has Masemola. We have that on record.
Mary, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. And thank you for your time, and hoping that you will let us know as soon as you get a response to this open letter that you've written. Mary de Haas, a human rights activist who has penned an open letter to Parliament calling for an investigation into the crisis at the South African Police Service.